I also we also went to Leicester. My Green Day tribute band Wednesday. We played a gig up in Leicester,
Mm,
and that was lots of windy roads and lots of roundabouts, and
mm.
certainly the part of Leicester that we went
I
off.
think so far, and this is not like a reflection of how I feel about the cities in general. I think probably the worst place I've driven in, worst city I've driven in is Brighton or Bristol, one of those two. I
Oh,
think
interesting.
Brighton has this thing where it's one way all the way through, and there's no priority when roads merge into each other. So it's
And
very
also,
much free for all.
well, and also in Brighton, a lot of it's on a hill, like a really
Yes.
steep hill
Yeah, like my friend
where
lived in
where the lanes
Portslade,
are.
and when I missed the way to go, I had to go back all the way through the city, which took me about 45 minutes to get back to his house and then park up. It was a
Oh
nightmare.
man, I mean, I guess I could go into some of my driving nightmares because I have had a fair few.
Yeah.
Obviously, setting aside when I actually crashed my car quite badly, which was through no fault of my own, as we established in the previous one of the previous podcasts.
Yeah.
Um, but in general, I've just been quite um, overcautious when I've been driving,
Hmm.
sometimes to my detriment. You know, and if I miss a junction or go to like, I will start panicking quite a fair bit. I mean, there's very
I'm
much a few instances. I don't know how you are with the drive to download, for example.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of the same, you know. I can hesitate at times. I think it's just like after my own little accident in February where um this woman had a indicator on to turn into the junction that I was coming out of, but then she kept going down and I went into the side of her car. Um, I think after that, I just don't trust indicators at all. Which is the way to go anyway, because you know you never know what's around the corner, essentially. So it rests on that sort of thing. But well, even before that, I've always been kind of the same. And but the one thing that does get me annoyed is if I'm taking my time a little bit to turn into a place and I have someone beeping behind me, which is a common case in Bridgend. I am not a happy bunny behind the wheel. I'm
Mm.
very close to giving them the finger or beeping back
Like
out of
when you're
sheer
playing Alien
annoyance.
Isolation, you
Yeah.
get.
Oh yeah, Katie came in at the worst time, and I was like, thanks, Katie. I died. She's like, sorry.
Well, yeah, but how do you find actually driving to download? Because for me, I have to have someone in the car with me.
Um, I think
I'm not.
I tend to just like get on with it and listen to my tunes
Well,
personally.
you go on your own, which I really admire you for doing. Because you, I don't know if you, I don't know if we're equidistant traveling wise to download.
Yeah, well, I think like the first. I remember when I drove home from Download 2018. It was unfortunate because I was driving and I thought it was 40-mile limit, and I got caught by a
Mm,
speed camera. Lovely days.
yes,
So
but
I
I
think
mean, you were driving at like you went home directly after Aussie, didn't you?
I stayed. Yeah, I stayed in the campsite for about half an hour
But
after
then you
that.
drove, and then you drove home at like 1 o'clock in the morning or something. You
Yeah,
know.
they gave me some energy drinks to set me off on my way, and I couldn't be more thankful for that either. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I always tend to stay until Monday, and obviously Monday is the day that I mean I really probably should change the strategy, because
I think
Monday's obviously the day where everyone leaves
yeah, I
simultaneously.
think like I don't think it's as bad now considering I have a pop-up tent rather than a manual setup tent because it's so quick to set up and take down. I know I was having trouble with it at the start, but it's I've gotten quite used to it, especially after setting it up in my living room for lock download.
Yes,
But
which you can check out on KB's channel,
yeah,
incidentally. The lock download. It's very funny. I'm involved
yeah,
in brief cameos as well.
Rob plays the part of losing the directions to the campsite, so he spends the whole
Yes,
video and the entire weekend still trying to get there.
I mean, and it's kind of modelled after my own sense of frustration whilst driving to download.
It's like, where do we
uh,
go?
Yeah, but no, because I will if I go up. It's an easy enough route for me. You just get on the M1 and all the way up to junction 23A. But then once you're on junction 23A, you're in a mad like traffic jam. And particularly last year, it was horrendous. We were in this traffic jam for we got through 2 Tool albums
Mm.
in the time we were in that traffic jam. And that really says it all.
That says it all. Like, yeah, I remember.
But yeah, carry on. Sorry.
I remember me and Sam. I had to pick Sam up from Watford, to take him to download. Take us to download, I should say. And to be honest, next time I'm just gonna say go like closer to me, like Bristol or something, not Watford, because I have to go. 8 fucking hours.
Yeah, Murray Man says, man, that F's me off no end. Relax, lad. We're all in a metal box being powered by an explosive liquid. Chill the beans. Yeah, but you got to understand, Murray Man, I'm very conscious of I hate being late as it is, and that's just any walks of life, whether it's work or going to the pub or going to a festival. It winds me up being late, and it winds me up if I'm really, really self-conscious about camping with my mates, and obviously we can't all arrive at the same time. We don't really convoy there, so it's very much kind of luck of the draw, and I will end up kind of snapping sometimes at some of my mates. More when we leave rather than when we get there, because they are a tremendous help, and it's just my own sense of being really frustrated with myself not getting there on time, but on the way back, I really want to make a good head start. So I said to him, look, don't drink Sunday evening as much as you want to. I want to get up nice and early. I always get up at like 6, half 6 or 7 on the last day, which is the Monday when we leave. And I have to try and pretty much cope. I remember one year when we had, when Cal was with us. Do you remember? I think that was 2018.
Yeah.
And I was like, come on, Cal, get up. We got to leave, sort of thing. And he was like, oh, all right. And then I checked like half an hour that he's fallen straight back to sleep again. And I'm like, I'm trying to kick him. Come on, get up.
I just like the thing was about last year was I was kind of like leaving like near to the end of Tool set so I could beat traffic and things like that. But then I forgot that the Slayer crew were leaving at the same time as me, and that was bad enough. When I finally took those steel toe boots off was just, I felt the relief straight away.
Palpable.
Like it was like the year before it was the sunburn, wasn't it? I was reading with sunburn for days. But then last year it was my heels that were just killing me. Like I remember that was always the struggle with downloads, just finding a bench or something to sit on. But because of how damp places were, it was hard to sit at times. So I think next time I'm bringing a chair.
Right, yeah. Apparently Murray Man meant people being up your arse when you're trying to turn, rather than me getting frustrated in the car. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. All right. My bad. Yeah, no, but that is frustrating. When just other people, like I've learned since my accident in particular, not to trust anyone else in cars.
Yeah.
Like I can do my part.
Yeah. What Murray Man's comment reminds me of actually is when I drive Katie's car, because like my car's a Mazda 3, so it's a medium-sized car. People don't really give me much shit when I'm in it, but when I'm in a small car like Katie's Mini, then people like to take the piss. They're like, oh, well, she's not going to do anything. She's going to be a slow driver. And I was like, oi, does this sound like a lady to you? I think I'll just go out the window and go, hello, lover.
Oh god, I remember one time. Well, just to wrap up the download thing, there was that I'm very grateful to a lot of people getting out of download in particular, because there have been times where I've been stuck in the mud and I've needed a push, and you get complete strangers that kind of come up and help you get out.
Yeah.
And you really, really need to concentrate getting out of that download car park.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not fun. And there also have been times where I mean, the last time I was with Cal, I went the wrong way at the traffic lights. You know, you had that set of traffic lights and the bridge going over it.
Mm.
Instead of turning around at the roundabout, I thought, oh, well, clearly there's a right turn here. I'll go to the right, go right. And it took me straight through Donington, the village of Donington. And obviously, the whole world was going through there at the time.
Yeah.
And then I was so flustered by that. I got on the M1 and I went the wrong way. I went M1 north as opposed to M1 south.
Mm.
And I then missed the turning to compound it. So at that point, I was just, you know?
Yeah.
And eventually got on the junction to turn back round, you know? But that going out of my way, in a way kind of helped because I missed the M1 traffic by doing that, but also added a lot of journey time.
Yeah.
You know? But the point I was getting to was, I have been in other situations. I was flustered going to a job interview and driving to job interviews.
Oh, that is the worst because I know I always say sorry, I'm running a bit late by like 2 minutes and stuff. Like I still got selected as like a high candidate, but I always feel like, oh well, I haven't got the job already.
Yeah.
When that happens.
Well, I'm not fussed about traffic. I'm not that fussed about traffic. It's when I'm not sure what junction to get off or what bit of the roundabout, and if I do it wrong, I will go, oh fuck, you know, I won't. I will let it play in my head for ages, and then end up making more mistakes.
Yeah,
and they just kind of rack up.
Mm.
But this particular instance, I was on the M1 and I missed a junction, and then I ended up. Well, no, I didn't miss a junction. I was kind of flustered because as soon as I hit the M25, obviously, just massive. This job interview was in Twickenham, and as soon as I hit the M25, massive, like couldn't move. You know, almost lock grid traffic, and then I was really flustered, and I ended up hitting the car in front of me ever so slightly.
Oh right, okay.
And he sort of put his hand out the window to go, you know, left sort of thing, towards a hard shoulder, and I'm thinking, oh god, you know, in my head. I was like, he came up to me, you know, it's a nice car as well, and he came up to me, he's like, we've got a problem here, haven't we, mate? And I'm like, oh no, I'm so sorry. And he goes, oh, you know, I guess he saw how much distress I was in, because I really was beside myself for hitting into this poor guy's car. And he goes, oh, you know what? It's just a scratch. I think he could see I was in distress, and I was in my, you know, my little sweat-covered white shirt with like a crappy tie.
You
know,
get the Lee Evans look.
And he let me go. He let me off in the end, you know, which was I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah,
you know,
like if it happened to me, I think the first thing I'd do is it depends on the damage really, but I wouldn't let it go through insurance unless it was like a write off or I couldn't drive the car or something like that. You know, too much for the other person to pay. But I think that would be down to them. You know, if we agree to, like, you know, keep it off the books, you know, you pay for the damage and we'll call it there, because I know that can mess up your insurance quotes massively, because if you have it does bump the prices up, which I found. Luckily when the other one went through the insurers, and, you know, to be honest, the dent I did to a door, it was I don't think it was something I could fork out anyway. But it was more of a case of it was 50% her and 50% me in the end, because I showed that dash cam footage of what happened and the indicator being on. So that saved me a fair bit.
Well, that was lucky. I had no dash cam in my car when I had my accident, and that, you know, I wouldn't wish. I mean, the accident was bad enough, but dealing with the insurance company afterwards, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Absolutely.
Because it really messed me up in the head, you know, because it took me about a year to get everything sorted. And it was just playing on my mind the whole time, you know. So yeah, don't get into crash.
Yeah.
I think is
whatever you do.
Yeah. What I will say about that.